Okay, it's 6:30 and I'd like to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone to the Anthem Community Council monthly meeting. With that, I'd like to ask Vice Chair Patterson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. We do have two board members who are not with us this evening, but we have five, which makes a quorum. And the first order of business is to approve the consent agenda, which includes the agenda, the approval of the last meeting's minutes, and the resolution for the approval of the AAMIT contract. Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second? Okay. And is there any further discussion from the board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. It passes. Okay, I will turn it over to.
Thank you. Mr. Ed Taylor with Friends of Daisy Mountain is here for a brief presentation this evening.
Good evening. My name is Ed Taylor. I'm currently the Vice President of the Friends of Daisy Mountain Trails Committee. It's a volunteer committee that has been in existence for a number of years. And I'd like to bring you up to date on what's going on with Daisy Mountain right now. Several things have remained the same, but there are some significant changes. Learn how to drive this thing, we'll be okay. The reality of Daisy Mountain hasn't changed much. The significant thing about the Daisy Mountain area is it is Arizona State Trust land. It is not a preserve, as some people believe. It's one of our greatest assets, but yet we take it for granted. We assume that it will always be there, but as we know, development has a way of absorbing land at a remarkable rate. And that hasn't changed over the last year or so. With the new buildings in the TSMA or TSMC buildings coming in, land is a premium. A lot of the land is not buildable on it, but our biggest concern is access to the land. 92% of the Arizonans think that it's important to have preserved land, and it's important that we have open spaces. Every survey that's been taken over the last few years points to that with an overwhelming amount of positive feedback requesting open land. The Daisy Mountain area is approximately 5,600 acres at this point. There are, whoops, I'm going way back here. The trail vision that we had originally was to use the social trails that are existing. And back in 2018, we actually had John Rose and Ken Vondesheer mapped out the trails and submitted those to the Arizona State Land Department for easement access. As you can see, the stars are the preferred trailheads that we wanted to establish. The biggest change now is that this map is on public internet access. It's on an application called All Trails, which is available for anyone to download and look at. And you'll see here the trails that go to the south were never intended to go there. They end up, one of them at the country club, the north side of the country club, and then the other one is over at Honda Bow in about 7th, 13th Avenue. Both of those are on private land. And so what happens is the social trails tend to do what they do, and without actual guidance, they end up in places that we don't want them to be. So our purpose is to make sure we have trails, we have access, and their trailheads are in the right spots. Our proposed trailheads that we would like to accomplish is at Circle Mountain Road in Riviera on the west side. The north side is at the place where the power lines cross New River Road, which is about 19th Avenue. There's a lot that's owned by the county over at Skunk Creek that we could use as a trailhead. And then there's a trailhead that is adjacent to the Maricopa Trail behind the fire station on 11th Avenue in Desert Hills. Since the trails are now listed online, we can actually get some data from those. This chart shows that from January to June of this year, there were about 256 people that visited the trail. Those are the ones that reported visitations to the trail. If you look at that and imagine that only 10% of those people reported use of the trail, that number could easily be 7,500 people using the trail. And with that amount of usage, it's just a matter of time for things happen unintended. Development pressures, this is over at the Circle Mountain area. On the west side of the mountain is no longer accessible other than a quarter mile on the south end of the Bellflora properties, with the apartment buildings going in on the north end, the houses on the south end. The only access we'll have from the west side will be at that Circle Mountain area, which is not dedicated to anything or reserved for anything, which means that Anthem residents will have to drive all the way around to the other side of the mountain or go to the far north end to the Jenny Lynn area. This shows the trailhead there on Circle Mountain. In all the area planning that has been done, the 2019 area plan, the 2040 area plan is also stated that it needs to have, or all the residents want open space and they want access to Daisy Mountain especially. There is a formal way that they have to go through, and if a developer wants to buy the property, it just goes to the highest bidder. There's a board that approves whether there's water, et cetera, whether the project's feasible, but there's nothing to prevent this mountain to start to look like the one down on Cloud Road. I like to call it Python Peak because of the scar that goes up the side of it now. Quick history, landmarks of the community. Up in Prescott Valley, they actually got with the state land department and had them declare part of their land usable for conservation. The city of Prescott and Prescott Valley and Yavapai County got together and put some money behind it and bought 2,300 acres. And now they have a nice preserve right there around Glassford Hills area. As I said, the Friends of Daisy Mountain Trails have been working on this since the 90s, the late 90s. It was originally the New River Conservation Conservancy. It morphed into the Friends of Daisy Mountain Trails over the years. And we've been busy going to zoning meetings and supervisor meetings and everything else you can imagine to try to make sure this, we do have some access to the mountain. So just to close quickly here, our short-term goals are to support the efforts of Maricopa County and establish the phase 1 of the Daisy Mountain Trail System and get the trails that we submitted to the state approved and establish trailheads at those locations I showed you before. The long-term goal is to preserve Daisy Mountain. The simple facts is we have to have help. There's just a handful of us that have been working on this, like I said, for 20 plus years. We need connections into the government and areas that we can apply pressure to make sure that Daisy Mountain remains open to everyone to use and enjoy. So if you want to hit that QR code, you can get on our mailing list and join us. We need help at events, going to meetings, just whatever we can do right now. So are there any questions?
Any questions? I have one question, and that is, of all the folks who you have been interacting with, have you run into is anybody saying they want to do anything differently with the mountain or with the access sites?
No, it's been more apathy. Just nobody wants to do anything. They don't. It's not that they don't want to do anything. Do something. They just don't want to do anything. The state originally was going to allow us to have the easements, but then they had some issues with other easements on state land, and now their policy is no easements at all. And the facts are the trails are already there. People are already using them. That's not going to change. So at this point, there's no maintenance on them. There's no protection of the wildlife that's around them. There's no direction. And if we don't have access to the mountain, it basically not only eliminates all the use from residents, but it also causes issues with firefighters because it is a large area that would, God forbid, catch fire, would seriously impact all of us. So they currently have very little access to that area. So I know it's a concern for them. So,
Okay.
but if we could get some help, just getting the word out that we are interested in preserving it, taking care of it. We've actually floated the idea of a state park. There's no state park in Maricopa County. So this would be a perfect time and a perfect place to have one. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, Executive Director Baker. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a question in the audience. Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Joe Pfeiffer. I've lived in New River since '72. And I thought around Daisy Mountain was state trust land. Because, see, I live on 19th Avenue on the north side of New River Road. My road to go to my place borders state trust land. And that road right there, from the curve from Country Road, there's a curve where there's a sign, flashing lights. And to the other corner, that's all state trust land. And Maricopa County is not allowed to put anything permanent on that property. I try to get him put an apron so the road don't get washed out next to the road. That's how I know all that. But yeah. But there ain't no roads the fire department can get on. I heard we had a brush truck. Brush truck can get up there, but all other trucks, no. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I assume we're going on to staff reports. Is that correct? Okay. I will start with mine first. I think this one will be of great interest to residents. Phoenix PD has done 2 town halls here in Anthem, and now their compatriots at MCSO are following suit. They are going to be doing a town hall meeting next Monday in this building starting at 6 o'clock. So excited to have them come here and do that. That is their meeting. It's not our meeting. They're just using the space here. But grateful that they're willing to reach out and communicate with residents there. So we would invite anyone and everyone who wants to come to that, especially if you have questions or concerns that are police related. So for example, things that are happening in the roadways, speeding, other things like that, safety or security questions. Those are all things that MTSO handles. We don't have any authority, as we'll talk about here in a few agenda items, to regulate the right of way like that. So next item is our nation's birthday is coming up, 250th, exciting day, but that also provides a change in hours of operation for us. On the 3rd, this building will be closed, and the community center will be operating on shorter hours as well, 5 to 2. They're closing early so that everyone clears out. So when we do the fireworks that night, cars aren't in the fallout zone. So that's an important thing to have happen. We've had a few close calls in years gone by, people getting their cars out in time. And on the 4th, obviously this building is still closed, and the community center will be open, but it will be open 7 to 7 on modified hours as well that day. So that's a heads up there. The North Gateway Village Planning Committee meeting they held on June 11th. The developers for Halo Vista presented. It was a well-attended meeting. Appreciated those who were able to go. A lot of folks from Anthem and from the surrounding area in general were there to hear about Halo Vista. And then TSMC also provided a very brief presentation as well. And TSMC has committed to come back this fall and present here to the Anthem community as well. So that'll be a great opportunity there for us. On the North Valley Library, last update that I received said they'll be starting construction any day, and that they are targeted to be finished by the end of April 2027. So that's exciting for our community. And then Anthem Neighborhood Watch, I bring this up just because we're still looking for leadership there. If there's anyone interested in serving in a role to support them and support our community, please let us know so that we can connect you with the previous leadership so you can understand what that volunteer opportunity looks like. And then streaming meetings on YouTube. I only mention this so that everyone's aware. As you come up and you speak, you want to make a comment, please speak into the microphone. The folks who are watching on YouTube, the only way they can hear is if you talk into the microphone. The folks here in the room may be able to hear you, but the folks in YouTube land cannot. So friendly reminder there. Then on the business services update, 2 items. One is on fueling stations. We reached out to Walmart to see, several people have said, oh, what's going on with Walmart? They look really close when they're opening. We reached out. They have not responded. So I'm not sure if we're going to get a date on that. And then Fry's, they have asked for an extension on their approvals for their Fry's station. That's been granted for another year. I think they're still working on some approvals and things like that. They are very much planning on going ahead with it on their originally approved site. I know there have been some internet rumors of where they may or may not be going, but it's on their original approved site there by the storage facility there. And then one other one is political signs. I know how much people love those. I share that same passion for them. All joking aside, I think it is important that people have the right to, put up a sign and say, hey, consider voting for me, please. The ACC does, if those signs are in the right of way, we have no authority over the political signs. Other signs we do, business advertising and things like that, but our agreement with Maricopa County specifically precludes us from being able to do any sort of enforcement action for political signs in the public right of way. So if you see a sign that is a hazard or is blocking a sight zone, please report that to Maricopa County through their Notify McDOT app. I know we've reported several to them and to ADOT as well, in hopes that if they're a hazard, that those can be removed there. The only signs that we can remove from political signs are ones that are on ACC property. So if they're sitting on our own private property, we do remove those and contact the candidate on that. So I just wanted to give folks an update on those as well. So with that, that concludes my report. I'm going to hand that over to HR and Ms. Tanya Dahl.
Thank you. So our current workforce snapshot right now is at 224 employees. This includes 55 full-time employees and 169 part-time and seasonal employees. Overall, this headcount trend is consistent from last year too. So that's very much the influx that we see at this time of year. I put the other slide on just to show the influx at the community center, which is the heavily staffed for the summer help. And so over first quarter and second quarter, you can see that the growth from the community center has been from 87 employees to now 181. And that's all lifeguard positions, children's camp programs. So if you think the community center is busy when you go, it is busy when you go. So, and that'll trend down here after summer. The current employment opportunities, we always keep posted on the ACC website, so please check that if you're ever inquiring. As for our employee recognition and activities, we always have our monthly all hands meeting, and in June, we gave out the award for Work Together for the Collective Good and Benefit of Anthem, which is one of our ACC values. This was presented to Kevin Stotts, our field supervisor, and it was in recognition for his initiative, attention to detail, and consistent positive approach. Kevin helps create exceptional experiences for both our employees and the community we serve, even during ACC's busiest times. And as you can tell by the slides, during these monthly employee meetings, we incorporate some interactive icebreakers, team building activities. You can see Scott in one of those pictures. I think they won the event. And also creative recognition ideas. And yes, that is Woody from Toy Story, and which is AKA Director Baker. So that's kind of some of the fun we have every month. Another activity we did just yesterday was break bread. We do that quarterly or sooner if we need to, but basically it's an event where we connect the new employees with leadership and their managers and just kind of sit around, talk, more icebreakers, and just find out more about each other. So it's really kind of a fun event that they kicked off last year. And then also this year, last week, it's a lifeguard pop-up breakfast. And again, Deborah Baker did a wonderful job providing the breakfast meals. And what they do is celebrate and recognize the contributions of the ACC seasonal lifeguard team. They did it last year and they did it this year, and I think it was well received. As for HR projects and training, we are looking to enhance the employee experience through our HRIS, which is Paylocity, looking for the rewards and recognition and our retirement plan improvements. So we'll be bringing more information on that hopefully by next month. We have completed the active shooter training, and June focus is on respectful workforce training, and these are all online trainings for employees and managers. And then in June, we are launching the biannual customer service training. This year's theme is creating positive experiences. So I will hand it over to Scott.
All right, thank you, Tanya. when we're not busy eating or having fun, we're trying to do some things for the community. So I'm going to give an update. We've been doing some pool party rentals, private parties, cabana rentals, and we are doing more rentals, and revenue is up from this year, so that's a positive thing. We're running 2 more Food Truck Fridays in July, so Steve's team will be getting all the info out and getting the word out. We want to get as many residents as we can to come to that fun event, so you can use the water park at night and, you know, get some local food trucks. Our summer rec team is topped out at 160 kids, which we're pretty happy with. We're actually hosting, for the 3rd or 4th year in a row, we're hosting the Summer Rec Championships. That will be July 7th, 8th, and 9th in the afternoon. So we've been hosting that for a few years now. The club swim team finished 6th overall in the nation for clubs 100 or less for the whole country. So that's a really big deal. I think a couple months ago I talked about how we had finished 3rd in the zone meet, which we had never finished that high before. And this is for sure the highest that we've ever been ranked nationally, which is pretty awesome. Even though it's for small teams, we're very happy with our small team. We say we're the little engine that could. For our sports and fitness, we have 120 kids registered for our summer basketball program. That actually started in June, so you may see some revenue missing. That's because last year we started that program when school got out at the end of May, and this year we pushed it to June. So luckily all that revenue will be hitting next month. And then we also have sand volleyball in July for youth sports, and then our indoor volleyball program will be August. So we should get some steady programs going for the youth each month. And then on the adult world, we have a co-ed league that starts next month. Out in the fields, this is the time of year that Mike's guys like us a little better because we're not pounding the fields as much. We are still using Little League and softball, but we're resting all of the soccer fields for summer. And then we have a Ramada update. I wanted to remind the board and the community that 2 years ago, we decided to lower the Ramada rates for residents to encourage more residents to reserve them. I know we have some people asking about non-residents using the Ramadas on weekends, but we give residents 6 months to rent and only 3 months for non-residents, and we charge about 3 times more for non-residents. So we want to get the Ramadas used by residents. So I just want to remind everybody that we did change that policy a couple of years ago to encourage more resident usage. For the programs in the community center, we got teens come in each week. We run our teen series all summer. We have 4 more weeks of that. We just ran a child and babysitting class. Our next one will be in August. Summer camp is crazy busy. There's about 100 kids each day this week. There'll be a little less the week before and after 4th of July, so there's still some openings if people need to keep their kids busy before or after the holidays. 2 weeks ago, we did the camper talent show, and then last week we did the staff talent show, and I was asked to participate, and I did some fun dad jokes based off of camp or summer activities. So I'm just going to share one just for fun. So this is for everybody here. Why did the pool party get canceled? Because there was a party pooper. All right. Lots going on. Other programs include our parents' night out. We have a teen night out. The adventure club's open all year. Some dance, sewing, music classes. A lot of the classes are in this building for summer since we're so busy over there. So a lot going on in the summer. And with that, I will pass it over to Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. And make no mistake, we like you guys regardless of the field usage. Don't worry about that. It's the dad jokes. For the parks and facilities, we have repaired the faulty sensors for the community center classrooms, and we're getting much better, more stable temperatures over there. We've actually created and implemented an inspection log for the HVA systems over in the community center, and it seems to be helping quite a bit. Keep an eye on them. Last year we had a little bit of problem with some resident concerns about the temps, and it's been staying nice and cool so far. So knock on wood. In the other buildings, we did some sealing and polishing of the civic building flooring. We've repaired the elevator concerns in the civic building. We've done multiple HVAC repairs in this building, and then we also have some HVAC replacements coming up for this building through the reserve program. Believe it or not, some of the HVACs are from 1999, and they've actually they've done their duty. DOJ is adjusting their summer scheduling and tweaking a little bit with all the activities that we have at the community center and the lack of activities in the park or lesser activities. So they're moving around and it seems to be working out very well. We've got the chiller tower outside of this building. We've got some media replacements have been ordered and we are awaiting their delivery and we'll be installing those. For the walls and fence painting, the country club was completed for 2026 painting, and they are now working in the park side. They should have 7 units of iron fence and 6 units of block wall to be painted. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Country club, they painted 7 units of iron fence and 6 units of block wall. And then in Parkside, they have 4 of 11 units painted to date. For landscaping, we've completed all the 2026 buffer zone clearances behind the country club and Parkside. They are cutting and installing sod for the ball field baselines where we get those set up for next year. We've refurbished uplights at Anthem Way and the Independence entryway, so if you drive past there at night, you should see a beautiful change. We have the granite refresh for the 2026 granite program. That should be going down as soon as they get finished over in that area. And then we are beginning Paseo irrigation repairs for a 2026 reserve. So that's in progress right now. We've completed or replaced all the softball and Little League dugout shades. We've replaced sand in the Adventure Park playground. We cleaned and detailed the AVM for the Memorial Day celebration that has passed. If you go by the AVM, take a look at it. It actually has a sheen to it now. The marble is glowing. It's kind of really neat. And we've managed to survive all the baseball, Little League, Memorial Day, and Music in May events, and we're still here. So hats off to all of us. For construction, we have completed 24 of 37 known wall repairs to date, and we have 13 still in progress. Our target is to do about between 60 and 70 by the end of the year, but that's based on actual conditions and if residents call with complaints or if we find any damaged walls. With that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Kenneth Pate. He is the Special Projects Manager, and let him give you an update on the capital projects. Ken?
All right. We'll be starting the Liberty Bell project on Monday, the 29th of June, and it's expected to be done mid to late October. We had an approved budget of $450,000, contractual agreements totaling $300,000, leaving us under budget by approximately $148,000. All items have been ordered. Scheduling is in process. The splash pad will remain open during construction. The park may close for 2 to 3 days while shade supporting structures are installed. And the pickleball courts 1 through 10, the reserves have been completed and look wonderful. The Adventure restroom, Aspartic flooring repairs have been completed. The civic building parking structure repairs and painting has also been completed out of the 2026 reserve. The damaged roof sections at the community center pump house have been replaced. The painting is scheduled to be announced because of the weather. The Paseo concrete sidewalk remediation is also scheduled for June. And with that, I'll hand it over to D. Norman for financials.
everyone. We're going to take a look at the financial report year-to-date through May. So starting out with the summarized view of the statement of revenue and expense for the month of May and also year-to-date through May. For year-to-date bottom line numbers, we can see that there's an operating surplus so far this year of about $217,000, which is $215,000 favorable to budget or better than budget. Up in revenue, we're about $37,000 higher than budget through May. And I would point to the enhancement fees as the main driver here. There were a couple of commercial property sales in May that boosted that. Then down in the expense section, there's $178,000 in savings in a few different areas. And these have been the same for almost the whole year. The trends have remained the same. There's some savings in personnel expense of $187,000. Administrative cost are $28,000, favorable to budget, mainly due to lower legal fees so far this year. There are savings in community programming and events year to date, which may be just due to the timing of expenditures as the year goes along. Facilities had a higher spending month in May, specifically in the areas of landscaping, irrigation, and pool repairs to get ready for the summer. This swing is due to the timing of expenditures, and we still anticipate to be on budget at year end. Below operations is the net income and loss for all the other funds, reserve, enhancement, and property. On a consolidated basis, ACC has an $886,000 net loss for the year. Over $530,000 of that is depreciation expense, so a non-cash expense. And we also have budgeted this year for a $1.2 million net loss in the reserve fund. So that number will increase as the additional expenditures are made. Moving on to the balance sheet as of May 31st and the year-over-year changes compared to the prior year end. And I'm starting out with the interfund receivables and payables already taken out so we can see the true change on both sides. So we're seeing the same continued trends on this report as well. This month's assets have decreased $920,000 through May. One of the primary drivers is a decrease in cash up at the top, specifically operating cash, and this was a fun little discovery for me. All expenses are paid through the operating fund for all of the funds and then settled up at year end. But because this is a much higher expense year for reserve, we used more operating cash than we normally do. So we did an interfund transfer in June to balance that out. So we will see that swing back on the next financial report. The remainder here is the recognition of depreciation expense and the timing of AR. Over on the liabilities and equity side, the same bottom line change of $920,000 comes from that consolidated net loss figure that we just saw back on the statement of revenue and expense, and a smaller amount up top for the timing of liability amounts. I also wanted to give an update on a couple of projects we've been working on in the finance area. The first of which is a change in the way that we send out statements to property owners, both through email and through mail. We have partnered with HOA Mailers, which is an integrated partner with our accounting software. So we do not have to export reports or use a Dropbox. It comes right out of our system. This is being rolled out by community neighborhood, starting with the Village this past quarter, then Country Club, then Parkside. Depending on the options we choose, the savings could be up to 57% lower than our current provider. And a few of the advantages include a faster delivery time. With this first mailing, it took 3 days less to get out to residents. It includes a QR code for faster and easier payments. And we have more flexibility for formatting and messaging. For example, our logo is on the statement, it's in color. We can include specific information about the community, and I will show you an example here. So the old statement is on the left, and the new improved statement is on the right. You can see quite a difference between the two formats. I also want to give a big shout out to Chris Montano on our staff. He headed up both projects that I'm highlighting tonight, and he's the one that worked out all the details and made sure the new statements looked fantastic. The second project is called Tech Collect, which is also an integrated partner with our accounting software. This particular system will use AI technology to automate parts of the delinquency communication and follow-up process. We will be testing it out as a free, no obligation 90-day trial, and we'll evaluate how it went and if we want to continue on with the program. This will reduce staff time with redundant communication, with multiple letters, phone calls, and text, so we can focus more on specific resident questions that require personal attention. It will give the homeowner options for payments and communications that work best for their situation. And it will give us reporting tools so we can track activity and measure results. Tech Collect indicates that the system can improve collections by 90% and decrease legal actions by 85%, which is great for all parties except maybe legal. Sorry, Jonathan. And unless there's any questions, I will hand it over to Steve.
I do have a question. Thank you. I love looking at your financial statements now. They're so much easier to read. I know not many people love financial statements, but I happen to. Do we have, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do we have an idea how many homeowners do auto pay? So how many of these invoices do we actually send?
We have about a third on auto pay.
Okay.
So about 3,300 or 3,600 out of the 10,000, over 10,000 homes.
Is there some incentive that that nonprofits do to try to get more of those, or is there any communication we can send out to people?
We always offer that, and we're thinking of some new things in 2027 that we'll be discussing with you soon.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions for finance?
All right, for special events and communications, Music in May. This year's Music in May was incredible. Thank you to all the residents and guests who came out to enjoy our beautiful park, live music, and food. A special thank you to all the ACC staff who assisted and to the Deadline Band for their great patriotic performance. Independence Day is just around the corner. If you plan on attending, please be prepared for hot weather. The forecast for July 3rd will be 105 degrees, so please stay hydrated before coming and stay hydrated while you're enjoying the fireworks. We will be having 2 cooling stations available to the public, along with cool-down areas for anybody experiencing any possible heat injuries. The Anthem Veteran Service Award nominations are now open until October 3rd. The Anthem Community Council selects one outstanding individual or group to recognize their extraordinary service and selfless dedication in support of our nation's veterans. This award is presented as part of the Anthem Veterans Day ceremony. There are nomination forms available on the back table as you exit the room. The resident dog photo submissions have been pouring in. We have been receiving a ton of photos of our furry family members. If you would like to share your photos with your furry family member and have them featured on our website and social media posts, please visit our website for more details. The ACC online merchandise store is featuring new seasonal line of items for summer. Take a look at the ACC merch store and please visit our website. The civic building rooms are available for rent right here. You can rent this room. You can rent rooms for anniversaries, birthdays, wedding receptions, and other special events at a low-cost venue, and residents can rent rooms for as cheap as $8 an hour starting out. We have a wide variety of room sizes that can accommodate any size party. So please, if you do want to reserve a room, we have the brochures, the flyers at the front there. You can check out and take them home with you. And now I will turn it over to Chairman Duckworth.
Do we have any questions from the board regarding any of the staff reports or financials?
If I may, Mr. Chair, I just want to make one point I think that kind of got glossed over on talking about Liberty Bell Park. on the amount of under budget that we are right now on that. So I want to give a compliment to Mike and his staff. We have stuff bid out right now. I'm not saying this is the final number, but right now we're looking at a ballpark number being about $140,000 under budget. So not everything's done yet, so I'm not going to say that that's the final number, but pretty close. So I tip my hat to them on that one.
Just to be
Thank
clear,
you,
that,
Mr.
that
Baker.
wasn't missed. Mike, did you have a comment? I interrupted you, did you? Okay. Any questions from the audience? Okay, we need a motion, the staff reports and the financials.
I move we accept the staff reports and the financial report with the thanks of the board for the hard work and a special shout out to Scott Newell for his swim team.
I second it.
We have a second. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. It passes. Next on the agenda is the executive business, and I'd like to turn that over to our legal counsel, Jonathan.
No business for you to take on executive issues tonight.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're up to item 8 on the agenda, committee updates and action items. We'd like to start with the Finance Committee.
Okay, go ahead and do that. We met yesterday. We reviewed the financial materials. We heard a presentation about the new forms and procedures from Executive Director Baker, who was substituting for Dee Nortman. We had a pretty extensive discussion about one resident's concern about what we do and don't take care of when we're doing our facilities master plan. I won't bore you with the details. That's it.
All right, thank you, Director Baker, or excuse me, McKenzie. Apologize. Anthem Business Support Committee, I'll give an update on that. We're meeting tomorrow at 3:30. I welcome anyone to attend. We're working through a whole set of ideas related to business promotion and support. And rather than go through those details here, I encourage you to either attend the meeting or review the minutes from the next meeting, and we'll be reporting on actual ideas that will be becoming implemented here in the near future. And that's it. And I need a motion to accept the committee reports.
I move we accept the committee reports.
Second? Is there a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. It passes. All right. Old business. I'm going to turn it over to Executive Director Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This evening, last month, we discussed, electric mobility devices, and it was a discussion only. Tonight, we have agendized for you discussion and possible action. Between last meeting and this meeting, Director McKenzie went out and did a lot of research and wrote a wonderful white paper for your consideration that summarized what other states and other areas are doing. Did a lot of great work there, and so that's included in your packet. One of the pieces last month was the board asked for a potential letter that could be given to our state representatives, and so that has also been drafted with some policy level recommendations, pattern off of what others are doing to be successful there. So I want to walk through this a little bit here quickly this evening. I won't bore you with the guts and feathers of it unless you have questions about that. So I want to start out by saying what this is about and what it's not about, because I think it's important to realize both of those things. I think everyone who has children or who lives in the community wants to create a safe environment for people to be able to recreate, both for those recreating and for those who are also out on the roadways and other things like that. So riders, families, pedestrians, drivers, everyone's impacted by what happens in the right-of-way. But what this is not an attempt to ban devices that people enjoy. We don't have any authority to do that even. We're not trying to keep kids from getting outside and having a good time. I know as a kid, I rode motorcycles and I enjoyed it. And then it's not a debate whether or not these things should exist as well. Because I know some people say, well, when I was a kid, we didn't. I understand that, but that's not what this conversation's about either. What we're really looking at is what do we want to message to the legislature about how we as a community feel. So based on the discussion last time, we put together a draft letter with the request to enact comprehensive statewide regulation of electric mobility devices during the next legislative session, since the past legislative session just ended. And this really comes from the fact that the ACC is not a municipal government. We do not control the rights of way or the streets, sidewalks that run throughout Anthem. Those are either Maricopa County or City of Phoenix. So we are at their mercy for what regulation they have. And frankly, both of those entities, as you know, have different regulations involving electric mobility devices. There's also a confusing patchwork. Like I said, some people have, City of Phoenix has more restrictions, Maricopa County has fewer. And there are some real safety concerns. Everyone knows someone or has talked to someone or seen or interacted with someone who has had a close call or maybe even been injured as a result of being on one of these devices. So it's something that community really wants to make sure that everyone's safe on. So next point. So actually, let me back up right here and bring in a couple of other points here. One is, if you look at other states, they have the 3-tier structure that Arizona has, but California and Utah have gone a little bit further on their structure in their legislation. And I think this is important because Arizona does not have this right now officially in place. So there's the 3 different types of bikes, and then there are these other devices that are really, for all intents and purposes, motorcycles. And Arizona doesn't have a good framework to regulate those. In Utah, the way they regulate them is they say, okay, if it is over a certain size and over a certain speed, we classify that as an electric motorcycle. That's what we call it. And that's how we regulate it. They have regulations set up new that they introduced during their last legislation to regulate that. And then they say, hey, there are e-bikes that look like an e-bike, have pedals and all that, but they are capable of going over 20 miles per hour on their own. So they're supercharged e-bikes. And so we're also going to throw those into that same category as an electric motorcycle, even though they have pedals. So it kind of does a double catch right there. Because sometimes people say, well, it has pedals, so it's a bike. It's like, well, if it's powerful enough to do certain things, we're going to regulate it differently. Now, California, they take those same 2 categories, and instead of creating new classifications for them, they just simply regulate them as mopeds. They said, hey, we're going to go under the moped classification there for that. So I think that's important to know how other people are treating that there. So what we're really looking at tonight is 4 different things. One is consistent classification so that we have something statewide for how these devices are categorized and equipped. Right now, it's a checkerboard. And so our community split, but imagine some of these other communities, there are different areas that cross multiple jurisdictions as well. It's very difficult for folks to regulate. And then some of these, as we talked about on that previous slide, powerful devices defined have separate classifications for these devices that are really high-powered devices. Some of these can go 50, 60 miles per hour, and that is not a bicycle, plain and simple. Also, California and Utah established some statewide minimums for operators, including age restrictions and helmet requirements. And then Director McKenzie really hit on this in the white paper as well, preserving local control for things that are local issues. So local authority over paths and trails and things like that. Not so much the classification system, but as in the usage on the ground there. As part of our research as well, we reached out to our public safety partners, and here are some of the comments that they provided back. They talked about wanting to make sure there was appropriate helmet and safety gear requirements that we would recommend. Another comment that I found interesting was that parents discuss safety and responsibility with their children as an excellent foundation to begin. So saying, hey, before you give Timmy the keys to this, have a conversation with your child to make sure that they're aware of the power of these items. And currently, as a point of interest, Daisy Mountain Fire does not show a spike or a trend in their call data related to these right now. So they can't say one way or the other. They're like, obviously we want people to be safe, but we can't indicate that we've seen a trend one way or the other. Also, we heard from some other public safety partners that they said we are playing catch up with this issue and the legislation to address it. Then they said the best way to address this e-bike issue would be to clearly define e-bikes, power/capabilities of speed, and who can operate them based on the characteristics of the e-bike, where they're allowed to operate, etc. And then they just said it looks like these other states have addressed that as well. So the same types of things that Director McKenzie was talking about in his white paper are the same types of things that our public safety partners are talking about as well. I did share the white paper with them, so they had a chance to read it and provide comments as well. So with that, that's kind of a presentation there. We have a draft letter attached. So if you wanted tonight to say, hey, we want to go forward with the draft letter, or if you want to amend it somehow with different language, include different points in there, what we would ultimately end up doing is send the letter and the white paper to our state representatives. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm sure Director McKenzie can as well on anything that he wrote.
Any questions from the board? I'd like to, and we have one question from the audience. Go right ahead.
Well, again, my name is Joe Pfeiffer, and I basically came here for this purpose. An e-bike is a motor-driven vehicle. And right here, nobody's smart enough to figure it out. But here on Phoenix, at the bottom, it talks about motor-driven cycles. It don't say gasoline, and it don't say electric. And for a vehicle to be on the road, they have to be 16 with a driver's license, and they should have a motorcycle endorsement, unless they got rid of that. So it's all written here. Everybody wants to make new rules, but the rule is already here. It's been in law for a very long time. So, like I say, you got to have a driver's license, a motorcycle endorsement, because I had a motorcycle endorsement a long time ago and I let it expire. But e-bike is a motor-driven vehicle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, what I'd like to do is, first of all, thank Director McKenzie for an incredible job with the white paper. And I encourage anyone in the audience, if you haven't had a chance, please read it and review it, because I think it hits all the issues and potential issues, and I think it is certainly the foundation for the letter. And I'd also like to suggest that we take it even a step further from just sending it to the legislature to actually presenting it as a team to the appropriate folks in the legislature as part of the process. So with that, what I'd like to do is see if we have a motion to adopt and approve the policy white paper as the basis for the correspondence, and to approve the correspondence and the delivery both electronically and physically. So I need a motion.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Do we need any clarification for my meandering motion? Okay. Barb, comment? Director McKenzie.
I think it's worth noting that our state senator will be the same. He's running for reelection. So he's already in office. Our two state representatives have both resigned to run for other office. So the primary is coming up, July something, and the runoff won't be until November. So we may have to wait a while to present it to our House of Representatives representative. But we could start with our state senator.
I was just gonna say, we could also present it to the candidates, just so that they're aware of where we feel and land as a community as well. I know we've had conversations with previous candidates in the past, so they could better understand the anthem. So to your point, though, absolutely. We'll have to wait and see how those races work out.
Yeah, I think the process of presenting it to the candidates and the existing state senator, it would be a very good one. And just to restate what you've already stated so eloquently, we really don't have the authority, but we do have influence. And why not us to help try to go out there and pursue a better solution to this problem? Okay, so I lost track. We have a motion. Did we get a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you. Okay, next, strategic pillars, Executive Director Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to advance these on my own now. As part of our strategic pillars, I provide a mid-year update for you. I will go through each of these priorities that you see underneath each of the pillars in detail here in just a second. But this is a collaborative document that we've put together, but overarching all of this are our values that we seek to live each day in all that we do as employees. They're the 6 across the top right there. And then we have these 4 areas that we focus on as well. So I want to dive into those here with you. So our first pillar is ensure well-trained and professional board and staff. And that's a little small, I apologize. I realize I was thinking it was gonna be a little bit bigger, but it's not for you to see there. So first point right there is enhance employee performance management system to better align goals, accountability, and compensation. And we certainly have done that this past year with our improvements that we've implemented through Paylocity. And we put greater emphasis on merit-based compensation performance, and it's being monitored and rewarded accordingly. In fact, the other day I just signed something for an employee who had stepped up and done some additional work, and they were acknowledged under that merit-based system. So I like that a lot, where it's not just, hey, it's annual review time, I get my full. It's no, you need to work and do it, and then we'll reward you for it. Next point down is expand opportunities for employee professional development. The point I want to hit on this is we have 3 employees using the tuition reimbursement program. One has completed an associate's, one's pursuing a bachelor's, and one is taking some community college courses right now. To me, that is awesome. And those are all work related. So it's not like basket weaving or something like that. These are legitimate courses that are helping us and helping them. And some of those other things were mentioned by Tanya, some of the outside training that we're gonna have going on as well. So next priority underneath there is implement additional ways to recognize employees who embody the Anthem Way values. You saw some of the fun that we do to recognize folks for doing that. We also do a quarterly CHAMP award that recognizes outstanding performance each quarter. Our most recent recipient is in the back of the room, back there. So she's being bashful about it, but if you want to see her trophy or CHAMP belt, it's up in her office right now. We also do our annual awards ceremony, and we use Bonusly, which is an online platform for recognition, but we will be integrating that with Paylocity, which is our payroll system. So all employee recognition will flow through our payroll system now, which is a great step forward, because in the past it was 2 different places. And then we continue to invest in customer service training, and Ms. Dahl talked about that as well earlier. Proactively engage with regional growth to uphold Anthem's interests. So we annually, as part of the budget process, review what the amenities committee recommendations are. We check in with those and say, hey, do these still apply? Do we still need to do something? Now, some of these are unpopular because they include rate increases for use of our facilities, just to try to keep pace with what costs are. And so I think we've probably gone through the most painful adjustment period. We made some significant rate adjustments in this building. But I think we're at a good spot where we can do incremental increases now. So as part of the 2027 budget, we will dive into that. And then the other priority under this is looking at the growth committee recommendations. So that will be implemented on as-needed basis as we have people come in and express interest in being part of Anthem. We would look at that and evaluate and say, does that make sense or not for us to go that route? And then that would be something that the board would consider. All right, next pillar, manage community resources with care and pride. First priority here is to collaborate with legal counsel to update and restructure the board policy manual. We did that earlier this year. We did a portion of that. There are still 3 related documents that you'll see: the rules and regulations, non-residential design guidelines, and an operations manual. You will see the rules and regulations prior to the end of this year. You'll see that next phase. And that includes things like the collections policy, facility usage rules, some other things like that that aren't necessarily board policy in the sense of that, but there are still rules and policies that we need to have in place. And then our last point here is continue to partner with our public agencies that serve Anthem. So these are groups like MCSO, Phoenix PD, Daisy Mountain Fire, the Arizona Rangers. We continue to have a good relationship with them and appreciate what they do. We do our quarterly public safety roundtables. And we also participate in some of the other village planning committee work that goes on in this area as well, and look for opportunities to reach out and work with folks all over the place. Then as well, use new technology to improve communication with all Anthem residents and gather community input. So this goes to a little bit of your question that you asked earlier about adoption of, or maybe, I can't remember who asked the question about our financial software. Front Steps is the web interface for our financial software. We have approximately 2,300 residents right now who are signed up to use Front Steps, which means they can see their account balance, they can see what's going on with it, and they can pay online. Now, we are pushing to get more adoption of that, but that will be a big thing that will be coming as part of 2027. And then we've added credit card payments as well. There is a convenience fee associated with that, but that was an option that we haven't historically had. And even if we capture just a few, that's a few that we don't have to chase given the current collections environment. So that's a help. And then our procurement process and practices to make sure we're doing our best there. We've signed up for 2 purchasing collectives. In fact, I just got an email yesterday or today from Dee about some new contracts at the state that we're going to take a look at. And then there is some additional work that we need to do there to increase our awareness and capabilities in that area. So that'll happen before year end. And then last pillar here is maintain an assessment rate with low volatility. Really breaks down into 3 different areas. And we'll go through each of those right now. So implement a comprehensive physical asset management system, LIMBLE. That's what we use for our work orders and for managing our assets in general. It works really well. I will admit that we are, on the implementation side, there are way more assets that we have than we have in the system. I do feel like if it's a priority to get this all the way put in, we are going to have to hire additional personnel. Or if you're okay with us taking a steady pace through it, we can continue that pace to get it inputted into the system. But I know that Mike and his staff are committed to it. Scott and his staff are committed to it as well. And even the folks in this building have been inputting things. It's other duties as assigned instead of having one person just doing it constantly. But we are trying our best to get that implemented there. Next is implement the board-approved facilities master plan process that is going on right now, and will really kick off in earnest on July 3rd through Autumn Fest. there. And we have a website that's been built. Communications has put that together. So we're excited for that. And then the evaluation period will start late this year, early next year, where a committee of residents will look at all the submittals and say, hey, we think these are ones that we can potentially do as a community. And then from there, the board will review that and say, yeah, we think these are the ones we want to look at. At that point, we'll hire a third party to help go through that, assess the needs, assess the costs, both one-time and ongoing associated with those projects, so we can get a better sense of what will it actually cost us to do this. So that's rolling on as well. Then create exceptional value for residents through thoughtful curated programs, events, and services. We have reworked some existing events like Veterans Day and Winter in the Park. We're also offering an annual sponsorship package. We haven't offered that in the past. We've always just looked for sponsorships as a one-off. The communications team thought about this, and we have had an annual sponsorship group sign up for that, so they are highlighted at each of our events. So that's a great innovation there. We have Food Truck Fridays at this community pool as a new event, Touch a Truck. We continue to work on that. We had a car show, and it looks like they want to come back next year. And then the big thing here is balancing staffing with event volume. So a lot of people say, hey, we need to do more in the community, more and more, and we don't necessarily have the staff to do more and more. So we look to third parties to do third-party events in our parks and other areas. Now, that is a balancing act because people from outside the community come to these and use our facilities, and some people are uncomfortable with that, and they're uncomfortable with third-party people putting on those events, but some of the local businesses also benefit from it. And so we're just trying to make sure that there's that right point that we strike where, hey, we want to advertise and make people aware of how awesome Anthem is and what a great community it is to live in, but still allow the residents to enjoy what's here. So trying to strike that balance there. And then on the new programming side, we have some ACC-driven youth sports programming that we're doing. In the past, we had tried some ICs and tried some other things. As we discussed last meeting, we brought that in-house, and we are doing that now. We do have some new IC offerings, which is a nice way to offset risk there, because if no one shows up for the class, the IC doesn't get paid. It's all based on how many people sign up there. We have some weekly teen programming going on. They're getting really creative over there at the community center on some of their offerings. I think it's great. And then we obviously have an ongoing evaluation of what we're offering. Some things work, some things don't. We tried paddleboard yoga a few years ago. I talk about that one because I wanted to do that one. Didn't do it, but I wanted to. But we don't offer it anymore because it wasn't successful. So, that's that process we have to go through. And then last pillar here is proactively identify and manage risk. We continue to upgrade our IT system to enhance security, streamline operations, and improve ease of use. For those of you who have been here a while, I think you've noticed the difference between our past provider and our current IT provider. Appreciate the difference there. AAM's the current provider, they will be presenting next month. And not to embarrass Mike Kelso, hiding behind the pillar right there, but he is here 4 days a week, 8 to 5, working for AAM, but we do provide an office for him to work out of, and appreciate having Mike here and all that he does. He's a great asset to us as an organization. Appreciate his commitment there. And then the AAM also provides some great online training for us. They're kind of silly, kind of fun training, but help drive home the point of internet safety there and proper usage. So final slide right here, it says across all 4 pillars, organizational leadership, regional growth, operational excellence, and fiscal stewardship, we continue to deliver on our commitment to our residents. The work reflected here represents a steady, purposeful progress, and staff remains focused on building on that momentum through the remainder of 2026. That's our mid-year update for you. Any questions?
Wow. That's a very impressive operation. Any comments or questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Aaron and directors, I really want to thank you. This is amazing. I continue walking around Anthem with incredible pride, and just a pleasure to be here and work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's these folks sitting here and their employees who do it every day. The blocking and tackling happens by them. Appreciate them very much.
Okay, moving on to new business. You're on again.
Thank you. And Alberto, this is your item. We're finally there, my friend. Alberto with Republic Services is here. Just want to highlight, we have a, for lack of a better term, franchise agreement with Republic Services to operate here on the Maricopa County side of Anthem. The city of Phoenix takes care of the residents on that side, and Republic Services does this side. And so our agreement was coming to an end, will be coming to an end, and so we needed to enter into negotiations with them, and we had, I thought, a very productive set of negotiations there based on some financial reality that's going on in the world, but also an acknowledgement that we can't solve all the world's problems either. So you have right here our proposed rates for 27, 28, and 29. There, it's a 3% increase. You can see our historic percentage changes right there, kind of varied through the years. But we came to an agreement that 3% was the right number there for each year for the next 3 years. In addition to this, Republic Services has agreed each year they donate to the ACC $7,000, mainly to be used at our events as sponsorship, and they've agreed to increase that to $8,000 as part of the negotiation process as well. So that, I think, helps them invest more deeply in the community. It's an acknowledgement from them as well that they want to be here in Anthem and that we want them here as well. So this kind of gives you, to me, this is the tell right here. This is the slide that shows, okay, this is where we're at in comparison with everyone else. And these are real verified numbers. There are a couple that are estimates, and you can see that at the bottom of the footnote. The one I think that is most telling or most relevant actually is Phoenix, because that is what our residents on the west side of I-17 are paying and will pay. And so it is more costly on the Phoenix side. So that's how we compare there. Now, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Alberto's here to answer any questions you may have as well. But we had a good negotiation process. Appreciate their team very much for working with us and being a part of Anthem.
Any questions from the board for Aaron or Roberto? You just confused me, though, on the Anthem portion of Phoenix property. Is it that rate or is it this rate?
So for everyone who lives west of I-17, $42. And it's 2118 right now. Excuse me. Yeah, 2118. Okay, I'm seeing that right. 2118 on this side, on the east side of 17.
Roberto, can you do anything about that? That was a joke.
No, I know it was, but I did want to take a moment to thank the Anthem community for the continued partnership with Republic Services. As Aaron said, we are invested in being here. We have residents, employees who are residents of Anthem, and so just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you. And I was once an Anthem resident, and looking at that rate, now that I'm a Phoenix resident, I may have to move back.
Roberto, thank you. Thank you. And after reviewing the proposal, I want to thank you. It appears to be a very reasonable proposal. So, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second? Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? None? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. It passes. Number 11, future board agenda items. Any suggested items from the board? Okay. Any suggested items from the audience? Okay, next, we're going to move to open discussion. We have two comments from the audience. Is Leslie here? Leslie, come on up and please speak into the microphone.
It seems to be on already. Okay. So my name's Leslie Ferris. I live on the park side of Anthem, and I have a neighbor that has a woodpecker problem and submitted a request to have a bird repellent installed in his backyard, and it was approved. And I found this out because I put in a complaint that it's a nuisance. This bird maker or bird noise maker comes on with the sunrise, which right now is about 5 in the morning, and is very loud. And I've gone and asked him to wait until maybe like 10 in the morning to turn it on. And I've researched if this was actually a bird that I could call pest control, or not pest control, animal control, and they would actually fine him if his bird was making noise before 7 a.m. or after 10 p.m. So lastly, I just want to play this noise so you get what I have to listen to on repeat in my backyard. This is standing in my yard, and it just goes on forever. And it was approved by this board. So,
Just to clarify, do you want to clarify?
I will. Mr. Ferris, what I'll do is I'll talk to you offline. What I'm suspecting is the Parkside Community Board was the one who approved that. And so I understand there's a little bit of a tangle. So let me get with you about this. This board would not actually consider that. It's the Parkside Board. So I'll get with you and I'll get you the right person so that that wonderful noise hopefully doesn't continue in your life.
and this noise has been happening since October.
Wow.
2025.
Okay. Yep. No, we'll get you with the right people there.
Don't blame you at all. Thank you. Oh, Chris Madsen, come on up.
I only have two real quick questions. I think might be directed one towards Mike, and that has to do with the painting schedule. I live in the Landings. We got notification with our quarterly newsletter that June 15th would be the time that they would go through and do the iron portion of our fencing. June 9th, we got notification on that Tuesday blurb that again it was going to go through June 15th. It was supposed to be the landing state to have that done. And the reason why I'm asking, I'm covering not only my yard, but I'm 3 other neighbors who are either out of state, out of country, or in the northern part of Arizona. And I'm unlocking fencing, and we're trying to keep things safe in their yards. They've got pools, that kind of thing. I've cut back those fire sticks and stuff that grow like crazy. And now I'm going to have to do it again pretty soon unless, if there was a better communication, if they're not going to meet that timeline. And again, we haven't had anything on our doors, garages saying that 7 to 10 days out. So we have no idea when it's going to happen.
All right.
I wish there was some way they could communicate if there's going to be a delay like that. I'm not running down there, locking, unlocking, worrying about cutting back again, that type of thing.
Chris, the date that they provide is the starting date for that particular unit. It's not necessarily the completion date. It's open-ended, but they have been on schedule for every single unit that they've done. If you want to reach out to me with an email later and I can verify the unit number and the addresses and everything, I can communicate with them and find out what the issue could be or when they actually expect to be there.
Right, because supposedly starting July, they were supposed to be in Splendor.
I understand, but I want to, if I can find out the address exactly, then I can hold them accountable.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
We got no notification, so somehow they aren't, and I've asked for people on Celebration and all the other streets, and nobody seems to know anything like when it's going to be done, so don't know if anybody's really gotten anything at this point in time.
Yeah, so Mike, you'll get your email.
Yep. I'll give you my card. You can reach out to me offline and we'll work it out.
Perfect. And the second thing has to do in front of the community center, and it might be Mike again, has to do with, it would be nice if the flags in front of the community center would be illuminated. I mean, I walk by right now early in the morning when I take my early walk because it's so warm, and they're never illuminated. There was one day in April, I thought somebody screwed up because they're illuminated. You know, their lights were on, and I thought normal flag etiquette is if you leave them up, they should be lit. So I don't know if it's a timing thing, if there's a electrical glitch or something like that, but they're just never illuminated not between like 3 to 5 in the morning that I've ever seen.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
Chris, great suggestion. Thank you very much. Okay, any other open discussion? I think we're at adjournment time. We need a motion.
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.